In our modern world, machines speak. Siri, Alexa, and artificial voices guide our daily lives. But what if this wasn't new? What if the very first speaking machines stood not in factories, but in temples, not powered by electricity, but by steam and fire? Long before microphones, before loudspeakers, there was a time when statues spoke, massive figures of gods and kings, standing silent in the day, but whispering, chanting, even singing in the dead of night. For centuries, their voices were heard, and then, just as mysteriously, they fell silent. This is not legend. This is forgotten history. Today, we travel back to the ancient world to uncover the mysterious invention of the talking statues. The whisper of temples. Imagine yourself walking through a temple in ancient Egypt. Stone columns tower above you. Flames flicker along the walls, their smoke curling into the darkness. The air is heavy with incense, thick as fog. And then, it happens. From the shadows, a voice speaks. Not from a priest, not from any human being, but from the stone figure of a god. A voice, hollow, metallic, inhuman, delivering omens, commands, or blessings. But how? Was it magic? A trick of the priests? It was engineering. 2,000 years ago in cities like Alexandria, a different kind of magic was being studied. Not spell, but science. At the heart of this revolution stood a single man, Hero of Alexandria. Often called the first roboticist in history, Hero blended mechanics, pneumatics, and hydraulics. He created devices that amazed temple goers, doors that opened without human touch, statues that poured wine, birds that sang, and hidden deep in his writings were blueprints for statues that could produce sound. Statues that could speak. These were not simple decorations. They were technological wonders hidden within the heart of temples, places where science and religion blurred. Hero called them automata, self-moving, self-operating machines. But over time, these marvels would be forgotten, buried beneath dust, their sounds silenced. How did they work? At the core of these talking statues was air. The ancients understood the power of wind and pressure. Using hidden bellows like those used in furnaces, they created artificial lungs. Fires beneath the temples heated water, creating steam pressure. This pressure pushed air through narrow bronze pipes carefully shaped to mimic the human throat. When the air passed through, sound was created, and not just any sound. It could be tuned. Some statues whispered, others produced low, droning chants. It's possible that by combining pipes of different lengths and widths, these statues could have even produced musical tones or crude words. Hero's descriptions spoke of mechanisms that delight and terrify. To ancient visitors, this was not technology, it was divine. Imagine hearing a voice call to you from a lifeless face of stone. Would you think of bellows and pipes? Or would you fall to your knees, believing you had heard the voice of a god? The genius of these machines lay in their secrecy. Their workings were hidden deep inside. Only the voice emerged. Yet despite recording these marvels, Hero's writings were ignored. For centuries they sat unread, their secrets locked away. But in one place, the sound never truly died. In the sands of Thebes, Egypt, stood two colossal statues. Known as the Colossi of Memnon, they had watched over the Nile for over 3,400 years. But after an earthquake cracked one of the statues, something strange happened. At dawn, the statue sang. Each morning, as the first sunlight touched the stone, a clear musical note would rise from its shattered torso. Travelers from across the ancient world came to witness the mystery. Roman emperors, Greek historians, poets. To them it was Memnon himself, calling to his mother, the goddess of dawn. But today scientists understand the phenomenon. As the cool morning air met the warming stone, trapped moisture and expanding air created vibrations, forcing air through cracks, producing a whistling sound. Nature had accidentally recreated the lost invention of the talking statues. For nearly 2 centuries, the Colossus sang each morning, and then silence. When Roman engineers repaired the cracks, seeking to preserve the statue, they unknowingly sealed away its song forever. What once was seen as a divine miracle became just another silent ruin. But perhaps it was more than coincidence. Perhaps the engineers who once designed talking statues understood the same principles hidden within that ancient singing stone. So what happened? Why did these marvels vanish? As centuries passed, the ancient world collapsed. Rome fell, libraries burned, engineers became priests, and scientists became legends. Hero of Alexandria's works disappeared. His books, written on fragile scrolls, were lost to war and decay. His machines melted down for weapons. Knowledge itself became dangerous. Ideas of machines that spoke were called heresy. Science was no longer a gift, it was a threat. And so, the statues that once whispered to temple visitors fell silent. Dust covered their mechanisms, pipes corroded, bellows rotted. Their creators were forgotten, their voices erased from memory. What could have been the first steps toward robotics, early acoustics, even mechanical programming, was lost. Imagine if we had not forgotten, if humanity had followed Hero's path. Could we have created machines that spoke centuries before Edison? Could automata have replaced priests in temples? Could steam-powered voices have guided empires? We'll never know, because the talking statues were silenced. But not all is lost. In the 19th century, fragments of Hero's works resurfaced. Engineers and historians, stunned by their complexity, realized that ancient science was far more advanced than once believed. Today, in workshops around the world, hobbyists and scientists attempt to recreate these machines, rebuilding ancient bellows, forging bronze pipes, using fire and steam to breathe voice into metal once again. Their experiments prove what history had forgotten. The talking statues were not myth, they were real. Yet no true original remains. No intact statue has ever been found. Perhaps they're buried beneath forgotten temples. Perhaps their voices still echo, trapped beneath stone. The next time you pass a silent statue, stop, look closer, and listen. Perhaps, beneath its stone skin, an ancient voice waits to speak once more. The ancient world tried to speak to us, but we forgot how to listen. This was the forgotten story of the talking statues. If you want more forgotten mysteries, more untold inventions, and more voices lost to history, subscribe to Untold History, where the past speaks again.